So we have some special cases to go over for our covalent compounds. You can also think of these as exceptions. In the first case, are looking at diatomics. These are elements that when they are by themselves, when they're found in their most natural state, they actually form molecules. So they're paired up with another atom of themselves. So whenever we refer to these diatomics, we're always, when they're just by themselves, they're actually in pairs. Okay, and there are 7 of them. And you are going to need to know, okay, in other words, memorize all 7 of them. And the way that I remember is, for some reason, I can always remember that there's 7 of them. Okay, and they form a 7 on the periodic table. Okay, so first one is nitrogen. Then we have oxygen and fluorine. And then underneath those we have chlorine, bromine, and iodine. Okay. And I've drawn them this way because that's the shape that they make on the periodic table. Okay, kind of looks like a 7. Notice that there's only 6 there that I've listed, and that's because hydrogen is the 7th one. And if if there's an exception to any rule, hydrogen is always going to be an exception. Okay, hydrogen is kind of a bully that way. So when we name these, okay, naming the diatomics, rather than saying, say, dihydride or dinitride, they just get their element name. So no prefix and no IDE. So if we look at H2, we call this hydrogen. O2, this would be oxygen. Cl2, this would be chlorine. If we ever want to talk about just an individual element, a single atom of them, if we just wanted to talk about H, we just refer to this as elemental hydrogen. And this only qualifies for these 7 elements. Okay, so N2 is nitrogen, O2 is oxygen, F2 is fluorine, Br2 is bromine, and H2 is iodine. The other special cases that we have for covalent compounds are the organic molecules. And these are molecules that we call hydrocarbons. And that's because they're going to contain hydrogen and carbon. They can usually contain other things, but in general they're always going to have carbon and hydrogen in there. We're not going to worry about naming. Okay. They get their own process of naming. And actually, if you are taking Chemistry 131, you will spend pretty much the entire quarter learning about naming. Okay, so it's a very complicated naming system. Some examples that you may see this quarter. Again, don't worry about the naming, but you'll probably see them in examples because they're common chemicals that we may work with. CH4, this is called methane. Another example, if we do CH3OH, and this is called methanol. And those are just a couple different examples that we can look at. Okay, we'll see a couple more throughout the quarter, and again, don't worry about the naming. I don't expect you to know the name of them, but you may see these pop up every now and then.